use it. Because all my visions lead to horror.
In the ever-evolving door of Hollywood, one thing remains certain: sequels are here to stay. And they're coming at us in full force in 2024. It's the tried and true formula. If you've got a popular franchise, why not keep the ball rolling and give fans more of what they love? The silver screen is set to light up with 18 highly anticipated sequels as studios continue to mine their treasure trove of existing IP. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a newcomer looking to jump aboard a hype train, these blockbusters promise to deliver another round of epic adventures and big screen thrills. So get ready for a sequel showdown as we dive into the 18 sequel films that 2024 has in store for us. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. When it comes to monster showdowns, Godzilla vs. Kong took us by storm in 2021, and the film set the stage for more such awesomeness. The Titanic clash was a big hit, pulling in a whopping $470 million, even though it faced a tricky simultaneous release in theaters and on HBO Max due to the pandemic. Now, the monster madness continues with Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire, all set to roar into theaters in 2024. This time, things get a twist. We've got Rebecca Hall back as Dr. Eileen Andrews and Brian Tyree Henry as Bernie Hayes, plus some fresh blood with Downton Abbey star Dan Stevens leading the charge. Bala Chen, Alex Burns, and Rachel House round out the cast. After their epic face-off in the last film, Kong and Godzilla are now unlikely allies, and they're not alone in this fight. The sequel takes us to the mysterious Hollow Earth and continues where the last film left off. This time, the colossal duo teams up to tackle a new threat, one that's emerged from the depths of an unseen world. And if you're into ancient monster lore, you're in for a treat, as the movie promises to delve deeper into their history. So mark your calendars for April 12, 2024 when this colossal showdown hits the big screen. As a part of the Monsterverse, this movie promises more giant monster action to keep fans thrilled. If you can't wait until then, there's even more monster goodness with the Japanese production Godzilla -1 coming your way on December 1, 2023.
Has the real control with it.
Dune Part 2. Alright, so Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Frank Herbert's sci-fi masterpiece Dune had folks excited for a 2020 release, but thanks to the pandemic, it got pushed back. Then, when it finally came out, it sparked some debates as it hit HBO Max and theaters simultaneously. Now, finally, Dune Part 2 is on its way after a long delay. However, this time, it's not the virus causing the delay, but the strike that's got Hollywood in a twist. The gang from the first film is back, and we're talking about the likes of Timothy Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Zendaya as his badass girlfriend, the Swedish beauty Rebecca Ferguson, Thanos aka Josh Brolin, another Marvel star Dave, and the veteran actor Javier Bardem. Joining them are Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken, and Lea Seydoux, to name a few. Dune Part 2 picks up the rest of the tale from Herbert's original novel. It's all about Paul Atreides, the young lad who's got big dreams and is trying to unite a bunch of space empires. But after the attack on his family, he's out for revenge. And oh, did we mention he's got this knack for seeing the future? He's trying to stop some seriously bad stuff from going down, which is being orchestrated by Stellan Skarsgård, another veteran actor from Sweden. Denis Villeneuve is back in the director's chair for this one, and it's set to hit screens on March 15, 2024. The first movie did pretty well, raking in $400 million despite its release on HBO Max as well, so you can bet expectations are sky high for the sequel. Interestingly, Villeneuve is already hinting at a third flick, saying he's all up for adapting the second book, Dune Messiah. So, more epic Dune adventures might be in our future. Joker Folie à Deux. Joker 2, officially known as Joker Folie à Deux, is gearing up to hit theaters on October 4th, 2024, just around a year from now. The buzz around this sequel is already huge, especially since the filming's done and dusted. In this second round, Joaquin Phoenix is back as Arthur Fleck, and this time, he might fully embrace his Joker persona. But here's the exciting part. Lady Gaga joins the cast as Harley Quinn, marking her debut in the DC universe. The French title Folie à Deux means madness of two, II, hinting at shared psychosis or delusions between closely connected folks. This suggests the film could dive even deeper into the troubled mind, possibly with another character sharing his wild world. And you guessed it, that character is Harley Quinn, who starts as Arthur's shrink but ends up completely smitten with him. In the final scene of Joker, Arthur is locked up in Arkham State Hospital, leaving his mental state up in the air. As for the movie's antagonist or protagonist, depending on your worldview, that's still a mystery. Set photos drop hints about the Batman villain Harvey Dent, but we're not sure how big his role will be. While the plot's mostly a hush-hush, the title suggests it's all about exploring mental illness with a musical twist. Yep, you've heard that right. It's going to be a musical, so expect some captivating tunes and, of course, Lady Gaga's killer singing chops. Joker wasn't everyone's favorite, but it sure got people talking. Now with a sequel in the works, it's shaping up to be something quite extraordinary, so mark your calendars for October 2024 and get ready for a mad musical ride into the world of the Joker. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 2. Ethan Hunt, played by the legendary Tom Cruise, has pulled off some jaw-dropping stunts in the Mission Impossible series, but now he's got another challenging mission on his hands, tackling a two-part blockbuster. But given the stunts that Mr. Cruise manages to pull off, I guess next he'll be jumping from space? The second part is set to hit screens in June 2024. As we've seen in some movies, turning one story into two films can be a hit-or-miss deal, but if anyone can make it work, it's Ethan Hunt. Good news though, Part 2 of Dead Reckoning is bringing in some fresh faces who weren't in the first part. Nick Offerman, known for Parks and Recreation, Janet McTeer from Ozark, Hulk McCallany from Mindhunters, and Hannah Waddingham of Ted Lasso are joining the crew. This means the second part won't just be a rerun of the first, it's going to offer something new and exciting. And for fans of the OG Mission Impossible, you'll spot Rolf Saxon, who played William Donlow, the guy guarding that computer in Langley during Ethan Hunt's epic heist. Of course, we can't forget the stunts Cruise is going to be perched on top of a biplane, soaring 2,000 feet in the sky, with Christopher McQuarrie directing. It's bound to be a thrilling conclusion to the Dead Reckoning saga. Just a heads up though, production had a hiccup in July 2023 due to the actors' strike, so we're crossing our fingers to June 2024 release date. Unfortunately though, news just came in on October 25th, 2023 that the movie has been delayed to May 23rd, 2025. However, I have included the film in this list because, well, wishful thinking. Deadpool 3. Deadpool, the merc with a mouth, graced us with his presence in X-Men Origins Wolverine, but that's that. Let's not talk more about it. But what we really wanted was to see him don the iconic red suit and unleash his trademark fourth wall breaking humor. Fast forward 7 years and voila, we've got Deadpool in 2016. Deadpool 2 followed in 2018, and both films joined the ranks of the highest grossing R-rated flicks ever, with only Joker stealing their thunder. Now, Deadpool 3 has been quite the roller coaster ride when it comes to release dates. Initially, it was slated for September 6, 2024, but then they pushed it back to November 8, 2024. But surprise, surprise, Disney decided to bump it up, and now it was set for May 4th, 2024, 4 months ahead of its original date. But plot twist, as of July 14, 2023, Deadpool 3's production is on hold because both actors and writers have gone on strike. So yeah, in all probability, we will get the movie in 2024. Oh, and there's a bonus. Hugh Jackman will be donning on these Wolverine claws for the 10th time, possibly the last. Although with all these multiversal shenanigans, there's hope for a colossal showdown with all the big names in Secret Wars. Reynolds even hinted that Jackman's Wolverine might have a twist in Deadpool 3. Returning stars from the first two Deadpool films include the awesome Leslie Uggams as Blind Al, Wade's trusty roommate, and Karen Sani as the ever-polite taxi driver Dopinder. Vanessa, played by Morena Baccarin, is back too, Wade's fiancée who met an early demise in the sequel but got a time travel do-over in the end credit scene. And comic fans, take note, in the comics, Vanessa is Copycat, a former X-Force member with a knack for borrowing superhuman powers. Bad Boys 4. Bad Boys, directed by Michael Bay, was deflected through Will Smith from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air into the action star spotlight back in 1995. Smith and Martin Lawrence teamed up as witty LA detectives in this buddy cop action comedy. They reunited for a sequel in 2003, still under Bay's direction. Now, in a shorter time span of nearly 2 decades, Smith and Lawrence came together again for Bad Boys for Life in 2020, just before the COVID-19 pandemic wreaked havoc in theaters. But guess what? Do not Not keeping us waiting another 15 years this time, Bad Boys is back for round 4 in 2024. Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, the directors from Bad Boys for Life, are back in the saddle. Of course, we've got a dynamic duo of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Paula, Vanessa Hudgens, and Alexander Ludwig are making a return from the previous film. In April, they roped in Eric Dane from Grey's Anatomy and Iowan Gruffudd from The Professor and The Madman. And if that's not enough, the fantastic Rhea Seehorn from Better Call Saul joined the party a month later. Will Smith could use a career boost post his eventful 2022 Oscars appearance. Returning to the Bad Boys world is his bet, and he's hoping it'll win hearts and box office bucks. A Quiet Place Day 1. The Quiet Place world is about to get a whole lot bigger with the arrival of A Quiet Place Day 1. They're keeping the plot details hush-hush, but we've got a brand new cast stepping into the limelight. Lupita Nyong'o, the Oscar winner from Black Panther, and Joseph Quinn, known for his stint in Stranger Things, will be leading the charge. Behind the camera, there's been a changing of the guard too. Director Michael Sarnowski, known for Pig, is taking over from Jeff Nichols, the man behind Midnight Special. Sarnowski, who's also co-writing the script, is going to serve up a fresh take on the nail-biting quietness we've come to love, and the good news is we'll see Alex Wolff back in action. Now, you're probably scratching your head and wondering how Jimon Hounsou is back in the game after a rather final exit in A Quiet Place Part 2. Well, it's because Day 1 is a prequel. The story rolls back to the time before the terror unfolded. According to John Krasinski, the producer, we're tagging along with Lupita Nyong'o's character as she faces the first terrifying moments of the alien invasion. The chaos kicks off in the city that never sleeps, New York City. Furiosa. Mad Max Fury Road is basically the shining star of 21st century cinema. It was a highly anticipated flick directed by legend George Miller, and it didn't just meet expectations, it blew them out of the water. This film is now a classic and a defining piece of its era, and its influence reached far beyond its franchise or most action movies. What's interesting is that Fury Road played a major role in the birth of Furiosa, a spin-off movie that kind of bends the rules of the Mad Max world. Now we're getting the prequel we've been waiting for, Furiosa. This one's all about the early days of the character Furiosa, who was originally played by Charlize Theron, but this time the younger Furiosa is brought to life by the talented Anya Taylor-Joy. And guess who's taking on the role of Big Bad Immortan Joe? It's Chris Hemsworth, which is a pretty intriguing choice. This film is a massive deal for Australian cinema, the biggest production they've seen, and when it hits theaters on May 24th, 2024, it's gonna make waves. George Miller, the visionary behind it all, is giving us an action-packed prequel to Fury Road, diving into Furiosa's earlier years. He'd been cooking up this movie for a while, actually pretty much writing the screenplay while getting ready for Fury Road. Now, Charlize Theron won't be gracing us with her presence as Furiosa this time around. The story spans 15 years, so Furiosa's gotta be younger, so Anya Taylor-Joy would be stepping into the role, and according to Miller, de-aging tech just isn't cutting it. Venom 3. There's this idea floating around that third movies in the franchise are cursed with a dash of mediocrity. And sure, it may have been true for some, like the original X-Men trilogy, the early Spider-Man flicks, or the forgettable Blade Trinity. But more recently, gems like Logan and Spider-Man No Way Home have debunked that myth. So, in 2024, Sony's taking a swing at keeping the good streak alive with a third Venom movie, aiming for a July 12, 2024 release. But here's the catch: production on Venom 3 is paused due to the actors' strike, so that release date might just be wishful thinking. Guess who's back though? Tom Hardy reprises his role as the gooey anti-hero, and while Andy Serkis did a commendable job directing the second film, this time screenwriter Kelly Marcel will be calling the shots. Marcel, who also penned the first two movies, is crafting the script from a story cooked up by her and Hardy. As for the storyline, we're in the dark. The second film left a bunch of loose threads hanging, but don't get your hopes up for a Spider-Man vs. Venom showdown just yet. Tom Holland's taking a breather from acting as he recently spilled the beans. However, Chiwetel Ejiofor, known for his Doctor Strange role, is jumping into the mix, though his character is still shrouded in mystery. If the recent Spider-Man 2 game is any help, Doctor Strange's friends might play a part in Venom, because in the game there's a solid Wong reference. However, word on the street is Ejiofor might be playing Orwell Taylor, the head honcho of a crew dead set on taking down Venom. Plus, Ted Lasso star Juno Temple has hopped aboard recently. Gladiator II. It's not every day you see an Oscar award-winning movie like Gladiator getting a sequel, especially one that arrives decades later. But in 2024, Ridley Scott's back in the director's chair for Gladiator II. The original, which hit screens back in 2000, was a massive hit and even snagged 5 Academy Awards. It's a true classic, no doubt about it. Now Scott's dipping his toes into the sequel game for the 3rd time, following a Blade Runner sequel and Aliens prequels. So what's Gladiator II all about? Well, it's got a fresh batch of characters in a totally new world. Paul Mescal, who wowed us in After Sun and scored an Oscar nod, is taking the lead. He's stepping into the shoes of a grown-up Lucius, the same little kid played by Spencer Treat Clark in the original flick. And guess who's coming back as well? Connie Nielsen, reprising her role as Lucius' mom, Lucilla. You remember her as the daughter of Emperor Marcus Aurelius and sister to Joaquin Phoenix's creepy Commodus in the first movie. Now, these two are the whole show. The cast is seriously star-studded. Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal are on board, with Derek Jacobi returning to his old role as Gracchus. May Calamaui is taking the female lead, and Joseph Quinn is strutting in as Emperor Caracalla, while Fred Hechinger is filling in for Barry Keoghan as Emperor Gita. So you know that with the likes of Washington, Pascal, and Jacobi, the acting is going to be top-notch. David Scarpa penned the script, and you can mark your calendar for November 22, 2024 if the SAG-AFTRA strike doesn't mess with production and put a damper on our Gladiator-themed fun. Rebel Moon Part 2. Jumping into 2024, sci-fi enthusiasts have plenty to look forward to with a string of exciting sequels. Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 2 is another highly anticipated sci-fi film that may end up becoming a massive hit. Serving as a follow-up to the 2023 release Rebel Moon, this one's penned and directed by Snyder himself. The cast for this cosmic adventure includes Djimon Hounsou, Charlie Hunnam, Michael Huisman, etc. And the captivating voice of Anthony Hopkins, they're mercenaries called upon by a warrior played by Sophia Boutella to take on an evil galactic imperium. Together, this motley crew must rally to defend a remote moon under siege from the armies of Motherworld, led by Regent Belisarius. Snyder hasn't been shy about the inspiration behind his duo of Rebel Moon films. He has openly credited the influence of Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai and the fact that his original concept was initially developed as a Star Wars project. When Lucasfilm opted not to pursue it, Snyder and his team found a new home for their tale with Netflix. As we gear up for the release of Rebel Moon, the excitement surrounding these films is palpable. Early glimpses from trailers promise a compelling world of cosmic conflict, setting the stage for the sequel, Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, which is slated to land on Netflix screens on April 19, 2024. The first part of Rebel Moon hits Netflix on December 22, 2023. Beetle Juice 2. Beetle Juice is one of those iconic films that holds a special place in the hearts of today's adults. Back in '88, Tim Burton's surreal black comedy hit the screen starring Winona Ryder and Lydia Dietz, the gloomy teen who moves into a peculiar new home. There she encounters a ghostly couple, Barbara and Adam, played by Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, not to mention the sly and snarky trickster from the underworld, Beetle Juice himself, brought to life by Michael Keaton. It was a film that defied the norm, making Tim Burton one of Hollywood's hottest directors and propelling Keaton and Ryder to stardom. Now, after years of whispers about a sequel, it's official. Beetle Juice 2 is in the works, set for 2024. Jenna Ortega, the lead of Netflix's Wednesday, is set to star, cementing her goth credentials, but don't worry, Winona Ryder is coming back as Lydia Dietz, likely playing Ortega's character and mom. The lineup also includes Catherine O'Hara as Delia Dietz, Monica Bellucci as Beetlejuice's wife, and Justin Theroux in an undisclosed role. Plus, the screen legend Willem Dafoe will play some sort of afterlife law enforcer, and yes, Michael Keaton, the irreplaceable Beetlejuice himself, is returning. Writing the script are Miles Miller and Alfred Goh, the talented duo behind Wednesday. Burton, the man behind the madness, is back in the director's seat, and Danny Elfman, his trusted collaborator, is crafting the score. Shooting started in London, but due to the SAG-AFTRA strike, it hit a pause button just as it was nearing the finish line. Fingers crossed they can still make their September 24th, 2024 release date. It's showtime! Kung Fu Panda 4. Get ready to meet the Dragon Warrior again, folks! On March 8th, 2024, Po, voiced by Jack Black, will be back for more Kung Fu awesomeness in Kung Fu Panda 4. As of now, that's pretty much all we know, and they're keeping the rest under wraps, including who's during their adventure. Still, that's not stopping fans from getting hyped about the potential new journey of Po. Let's not forget that the first 3 Kung Fu Panda films are among DreamWorks Animation's cream de crop. If Kung Fu Panda 4 can live up to the brilliance of Kung Fu Panda 2, 2, we might be in for something pretty darn awesome. Recent DreamWorks animation movies like The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish have shown some serious quality. If that trend continues, this Kung Fu Panda flick could be another feather in their cap. As for the plot, it sounds promising. Po is on the verge of stepping into Oogway's shoes, becoming more of a spiritual leader than the Valley of Peace martial arts guru. But to get there, he's got to mentor a fresh dragon warrior named Zed, a spirited fox who isn't too thrilled about learning the ropes from Po. Things take a twist when a villain known as Chameleon appears. This baddie has a knack for resurrecting old foes, including the fearsome snow leopard Tai Lung. Thanks to this new adversary, Po and Zed decide to leave the Valley of Peace and head for a nearby city, setting the stage for an epic showdown. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Video game movies used to have a bad rap, but things have changed thanks in part to Sonic the Hedgehog. It's no longer a question of if we'll get a sequel, but when. The first Sonic film raced into theaters right before the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020 and made a cool $319 million. Its sequel, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, did even better when it hit the screen 2 years later. Now the franchise is gearing up for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, set to drop in 2024, just before Christmas. That's a bit of a shift from the previous two films, which both came out earlier in the year. It's early days for the movie, so we're still in the dark about many of the details. However, a teaser on Twitter from August 2022 hinted that we might see Tails and Knuckles join Sonic on his next adventure, with Ben Schwartz returning as the voice of Sonic. Now here's the real question. Jim Carrey, who plays Dr. Robotnik, there's a chance he might hang up his acting gloves for good, as he's mentioned retiring from the biz. So if he sticks to that, it means we'll need a new villain, because the producers aren't looking to replace him. In any case, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming in hot, slated for release on December 20th, 2024. The Karate Kid sequel. The Karate Kid, a true 80s classic, introduced us to Daniel, a young karate enthusiast who crosses paths with his students of Cobra Kai, a ruthless dojo led by Johnny Lawrence. With the guidance of the wise Mr. Miyagi, Daniel learns the art of martial arts with a side of mindfulness. He eventually faces off against Johnny in an epic karate tournament. The original 1984 film became a cultural sensation and spawned a franchise. It was followed by 2 direct sequels, a fourth film featuring a new protagonist, and a 2010 remake starring Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith. In 2017, the franchise came back with the streaming series Cobra Kai, reuniting Ralph Macchio and William Zabka in their iconic roles. With Cobra Kai set up to wrap up after the next season, the creators are taking a page from the classics by revisiting the big screen. The new movie has been teased as a return to the original Karate Kid franchise, though details are scarce. There's no word on a director, writer, or cast, but the film is slated for a December 13, 2024 release. Inside Out 2. Pixar is no stranger to creating iconic franchises like Toy Story and Cars. Now in 2024, they're expanding the roster with Inside Out 2. The first flick hit screens way back in 2015, which means a fresh generation of young viewers is in for a treat. The original Inside Out, led by Pixar veteran Pete Docter, delved into the life of a girl named Riley, where her emotions come to life as characters inside her head. It was a mega hit, raking in over $800 million at the box office. While Amy Poehler is confirmed to return as Joy, the fate of Mindy Kaling hangs in the balance due to rumored salary disputes. But you can expect Lewis Black and Phyllis Smith to make a comeback. Plus, there will be new emotional characters joining the mix, expanding on the original 5. According to Pete Docter, the team behind Inside Out 2 has crafted a story with depth and meaning, promising an exciting adventure. As for the storyline, the film will catch up with Riley as she navigates the emotional roller coaster of adolescence. Mark your calendars for June 14, 2024 if you're into some possibly amazing animated films. Captain America: Brave New World. Get ready, folks, because Captain America is soaring back into the action, and this time it's Sam Wilson's time to shine. In Captain America: Brave New World, directed by Julius Onah, you might know him from Loose and penned by the dynamic duo Malcolm Spellman and Dalen Mewson from Sam's Disney Plus series. The spotlight is firmly on the new Cap. Following the fantastic threads from the series, including the introduction of Danny Ramirez as the new Falcon and the intriguing tale of Isaiah Bradley, this movie promises to be a game changer. They're not stopping at just a good old crew, we know. They're shaking things up with some fresh faces. Hira Haz, famous for her unorthodox performance, takes on the role of Sabra, an Israeli superhero. Now that raised a few eyebrows given the character's comic book history, but Marvel Studios is all in for a new and improved take on Sabra in the MCU. And speaking of fresh takes, Captain America is in for a twist. Harrison Ford steps into the formidable shoes of the late William Hurt as Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, now making making the big moves as the President of the United States. Quite the character journey there, from military general to Secretary of State and now the Commander-in-Chief. And let's not forget the bad guys. The rumor mill's buzzing with the news of WWE wrestler Seth Rollins possibly joining the ranks, likely as part of the Serpent Society. The plot? Well, it's still locked in a vault somewhere, but no worries because we've got the date circled. Captain America Brave New World hits theaters on August 26, 2024. It's a date. Ghostbusters Afterlife 2. The Ghostbusters saga had a bumpy road before it found its way back to the big screens. After a 2016 remake didn't quite rekindle the franchise, the 2021 release of Ghostbusters Afterlife was the real deal, bringing back the original spirit of the series. It might not have broken bank, but it did win over the hearts of fans. This time it was the youngsters leading the charge with Trevor and Phoebe, the grandkids of Egon Spangler, taking center stage. They teamed up with podcast and their science teacher, Mr. Gruberson, to tackle a new supernatural threat in their small town. With the Ecto 1 by their side, and of course they've got some helping hands from the OG Ghostbusters. The sequel, set for March 29, 2024, sees director Gil Keaton at the helm and most of the previous cast returning. Carrie Coon is back along with some new faces like Kumail Nanjiani, Patton Oswalt, Emily Allen Lind, and British comedian James Acaster. Plus, the movie's heading back to the original stomping grounds in New York City, where the OG Ghostbusters will also make their appearance. So that was our list on the possible sequels that may turn into blockbusters. If you think I missed out on something, do let me know in the comments below. If you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.